Today is May 5th, and that means Cinco de Mayo, Wolf, a holiday that celebrates Mexico's victory over France. But some, in the Battle of Puebla, I should say, but some communities have canceled or scaled back cultural events because of President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and the fear among many Latinos that they could be arrested.
Our people are scared, and he took that hard decision because, we lose money, the business lose money, but we had to protect our people, more important than money. And we see all over the country this picking up people with no record, criminal records. And honestly, it's horrible what we have seen in my 45 years I've been living here in the United States.
ICE says it has arrested more than 56,000 undocumented immigrants, 65,500 undocumented immigrants, and deported more than 65,000. How has all of this impacted your community?
When they see what they have seen in the news, what they have seen in the community, not only the news, they have seen the immigration department. So, of course, it's going to be impacted. And believe me, some people are already thinking about to go back to Mexico. We are in the sanctuary city, and supposedly we're protected. Yeah, we're protected from the state, from the city. The police department doesn't get involved. The state police department do not get involved. But does not stop the federal government to go and grab anyone. It's kind of terrible because immigrants give almost $100 billion. $100 billion would it be? It's not accounted. So it's that money, the federal government has that money, and they should give that money back to the people who they're deporting back to Mexico or to any other part of the country.
All right, folks, what's up? It's Monday. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
We have Shelly E.
Hi.
And it's Monday night, so you know what that means. We have Tyrone Keys from the YouTube channel Soldiers of Finance right here on YouTube. How are you all doing tonight?
Amazing.
Good, good. Before we dive in, folks, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. That really helps to get our video out to a wider audience. And subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? We're here on YouTube and Rumble. You can listen to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out all of our super chats, so it's the best way to get your voice heard in the conversation and to show your love for conservative content. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everybody, let's set it off. I already see we got some super chats. So, folks, thank you all so much. Let's see here. We have Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat. It says, hello, family. Let's get it popping. All right. Yes, indeed. Who else we have? We have Tijuana Border Jumper with the $5 super chat. Says, good evening, ladies. Good evening to you too, Tijuana Border Jumper. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into that video. So as they said in the video, today is Cinco de Mayo. I mean, really, are people afraid to celebrate Cinco de Mayo because they fear deportation? Cole, what did you think about that?
Listen, the bars are full. You hear me? The tequila is going down. Everybody's having tacos. I don't know where people are afraid of, where they're afraid at, but it's not here in the DMV. Every venue I've gone by today was packed full of people from lunchtime moving forward. Maybe it's just people who are here illegally, who may or may not have committed crimes, and they should be afraid. They should definitely be afraid.
Yeah. Shelly, I mean, why does the media continue to lump legal citizens with illegals when the illegals is who Trump was going after? And now they're saying, oh, nobody's celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
It's a nothing tequila. That's what it is. It's nothing. It's empty. It's propaganda. It's a fake tequila and anything else, Jose Cuervo, whatever. It's all fake, okay? It's just propaganda. They're just trying to stir up something. I haven't seen or heard anyone fearful of celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Hell, in America, people will celebrate almost any damn thing, okay? So whatever, it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, Tyrone, is it working? Is this fake news working?
I don't think it is. I mean, look, you had a club. We profiled this last week, right? You had a club full of illegal immigrants partying. Okay,
right,
they weren't afraid to be out there doing their thing. They sent one woman back across the border in a red evening gown. Okay, look, this is what the left does. This is what liberals do. They stoke fear. They want their constituents to live in a state of nonstop fear. Okay, they're even trying to graft it over into blacks by saying, they might snatch you too. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if they staged something like that. Okay, right. If they tried to gin up some excitement around that. But look, the Marxist left, is a death cult. And it's controlled by fear. So they're just doing what they do, But if you are a law-abiding citizen of the United States, then you don't have to be worried about anything. At least not this. You might have to worry about, driving around in a Tesla and a leftist attacking you because of that. But you don't have to be worried about being sent anywhere other than here.
Right, exactly. I'm starting to think Democrats don't want to deport any illegal immigrants. In 2018, if you guys recall, Democrats, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Kristen Gillibrand, pushed to abolish ICE. That same year, Senate Democrats blocked a vote on a bill that would have withheld federal funds from sanctuary cities that refused to comply with federal immigration law enforcement. And now we have this where they're lumping illegal with legal immigrants. I'm thinking these people don't want to deport all these illegal immigrants. That's what it is it not, Shelley?
Oh, no, the Democrats or the left certainly does not want to deport any, but let's not only blame them because, again, I'm going to stick it back to our Congress. This has been going on for decades. This is not new. Most of Congress and all of the progressives, none of them want to deport anyone because both sides benefit, whether it's low-skilled labor, whether it's, hiring the people under the tables in the mansions around D.C. or whatever. This has been going on for decades. It could have been solved decades ago. It certainly is trying to be solved. President Trump this year, but it's most of Congress, all of the progressives. They want America to be, America.
Right. And then what about the whole due process thing? So we heard them continue the media talking points, as you always say, Nicole, these Democrat talking points about these illegal aliens not getting due process. Well, how much is due process? When we talk about the Maryland man, as they so in quotations for those listening, Garcia, was it Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Yeah, I mean, the man was here for 5 years illegally. I mean, how much due process do you need?
He was probably here a lot longer than 5 years. He was here 5 years under this name. Names come and go, statuses come and go. They come and go across the border freely. So it's a very, very good chance that he's been here 10, 15 years and he just went undetected. But with all of that said, due process doesn't necessarily have to happen here in the United States. We can absolutely deport them to their home countries and set up a Zoom link, like we did during COVID with people who had court cases. If American citizens could have a trial by Zoom, illegals can definitely have an immigration by Zoom from their home nation, costing us absolutely nothing. I'm sure if we asked really nicely, really, really nicely, Elon would tap Starlink, 3 little notches, and have them crystal clear from anywhere on the planet. This is what we're going to have to do. Send them back to their countries, and then we can have due process. No due process here on American soil.
That's a good point. That is a good idea, Nicole. Well, regardless of it all, President Trump is not playing around. Mm-hmm. So remember when the ladies on The View were drooling over the fantasy of Trump being locked up in Alcatraz, the huge jail that's been closed down for many, many years. Well, plot twist, Trump's not doing time. He's doing renovations, and it's illegals who might be checking in. Take a look at this. This is clip 13.
And so I think to make a point, to prove a point, put him in the clink. Oh, why not? Put him in the clink.
Oh, yeah. I don't want this to sound like I'm doing wishful thinking.
Yes.
But which prison would be best?
I know which one.
I'm going to give you, Michael. Well, that's what I asked. Number one is Rikers. But, I'm okay if he goes to Alcatraz and they reopen it.
Maybe.
What about Guantanamo Bay? Okay?
Yeah. Well, that'd be close to Mar-a-Lago. Melania can come and visit.
That's right. What about Supermax? Supermax would be interesting. El Chapo was in Supermax. He, now he wants to be with the hip people. Come on.
Yeah.
Well. And you hear Whoopi Goldberg. This is people get mad. Black folks get mad when they're called gorillas and apes, and she had the nerve to do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. So before I get you guys to talk about this, they got their wish. President Trump has directed the Bureau of Prisons to work alongside the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security to reopen Alcatraz. Here he is talking about it in clip 14.
Something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot.
Wow. All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts about that?
Open Alcatraz. And I have a suggestion. KJ, you got to humor me for just a second. Maybe Sunny and her husband might wind up there. Let me tell you why, particularly Sunny. On the previous episode of The View, when Governor Wes Moore was on there, Sunny mentioned that she bought her first home in Baltimore under this match program, right? And I'm looking into this match program. This match program is typically for people who have, I think it says 80% below poverty level. That's number one. What poverty level did she meet to qualify for that loan or that matching program? That's number one. Number two, as far as I can tell, again, I haven't dug into the deed records, but her home is in New York City. How did she buy a first-time home in Baltimore? Sounds to me like it's another scam with her friend Marilyn Mosby here. Maybe she and her husband might wind up in Alcatraz.
Wow, this might be breaking news. All right, now, well, we will continue to follow that. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. Before I do, I want to open this up to our super chats. I want to acknowledge you guys. Thank you all so much. Tijuana Border Jumper with the $5 super chat says Nicole for Madam President. All right, Nicole.
I'd be so much better than Kamala. So much better than Kamala.
Definitely. Definitely. Robin with the $10 super chat says, all you ladies are a fine example of what Americans stand for, including the wonderful Tyrone. Everyone's please share the podcast. We need to get more Dems to change over to the Patriot side. Thank you so much, Robin. Yes, indeed. All right. And folks, thank you guys so much. Please continue to hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a wider audience. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And again, if you want to send, if you don't want to do Super Chat, you want to send Cash App, there's our Cash App there. So at Be More Pop Stars is our Cash App. We can accept donations there also. So thank you all so much. All right. So Nicole, what are your thoughts on reopening Alcatraz?
I think it's a great idea. I think we need more beds, especially for criminal illegal aliens, places to house them that isn't a local jail. So we're not running, or ICE isn't running into interference from local authorities. I think it's a good look. You know, one of the funny things about the ladies, and I use that word loosely, on The View trolling President Trump is that, you know, there's enough criminality at them women sitting at that table that I wouldn't be betting on nobody opening up no new prisons. You know, I feel like there might be an indictment or two of some spouses that's sitting there at that table. But what's really funny is these are the same women who said that there was no lawfare against Trump, that there was nobody after him. And here we have you gleefully dancing a dance at the thought, just the mere thought of this man being in prison for what? For leading this nation back to a golden age? I don't think so. You know, it's shameful, but what do we expect from them? Notice how their crowd was going off, how their audience was cheering them on. I missed that part too. I think America's starting to turn on The View. We'll see what happens.
All right. Yes, we will be watching. Tyrone, I know you love the ladies of The View.
Look, you know, I do want to re-emphasize Whoopi acting like a gorilla on purpose for whatever reason. Trump, you know, Trump can't allow you to have a piece of real estate that's better than some real estate he has. So he saw Bukele's prison and he said, you know what? I got an even better one. Mine's actually waterfront. And, you know, the wheels started turning with regard to Alcatraz. And from what I understand, he wants Alcatraz to be for American prisoners, violent felons. And I think that would send a heck of a message that, you know, how many visitors you getting out in Alcatraz? Okay. Not many, right? So I applaud that idea. There needs to be a real strong message sent to violent criminals in this country, because if you've noticed, that type of crime is getting more and more outrageous in terms of you got children. Okay, there was a child here in Baltimore that was just, I'll say deleted for the purpose. So yeah, we need to start treating these people like they don't want to live in a civil society. Okay, exactly. Alcatraz is a good place for them.
Absolutely,
time out for sure.
And the order comes as Trump has repeatedly clashed with courts as he tries to send accused gang members and illegal migrants to the notorious prison in El Salvador. So the maximum security prison, which was shut down in 1963, will provide Trump a workaround to those court orders barring him from carrying out the mass deportation scheme. So I've heard both things as you have, Tyrone. So I'm not sure what he plans on doing, or maybe he's going to use it for both these illegals and legal criminals. So I don't know. But we certainly will continue to follow it. I mean, Trump is, again, he is serious about securing our country's safety. And I love it because President Biden didn't do that. He did the total opposite. And so much so, President Trump is he was actually going to send troops to fight the Mexican cartels. Here he is talking about that in clip 3.
So Mexico is saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartels. He wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question?
That's why I'm asking. We'll see.
I will answer it. It's true. Absolutely. Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right. that have been, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. And, you know, we had 300,000 people die last year from fentanyl and all of that. We had millions of people brought into this country that shouldn't be here. The cartels brought them in. So if she said that I offered to do that, she's 100% right.
Are you disappointed that she denied that request, that she doesn't want
Well, she's so afraid of the cartel she can't walk, so, you know, that's the reason. And I think she's a lovely woman. But the president of Mexico is a lovely woman. But she is so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think straight.
Wow. So I want to get your thoughts, Soldiers of Finance. Do you think it's a good idea to send troops in to battle the cartels?
I do, with this caveat. That is just one of two parts of the war on drugs. The other aspect of it is treatment, okay? Because you can interdict the source of the problem, but that doesn't mean that the addiction will go away. Okay, so you might see folk move to domestically produced drugs like meth or, you know, something else like that, something that the cartels are not necessarily producing. So I'm fine with us taking out all threats to this country, but unlike any other martial conflict, we've got a demand for the cartel business in this country that we've got to take care of. And that's really going to be the most challenging aspect, because if anyone has someone in their family who is addicted to drugs like I do, then you know that they cannot necessarily, you can want it for them all you want, but they have to make the decision to get clean. And maybe stemming the flow could assist with that. But that's another side that we need to consider.
Yeah. Nicole, I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you agree with Tyrone? We need to send in the troops.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the greatest threats to our nation in a very long time. We're talking about people quite literally invading our homeland willfully. And Claudia Sheinbaum, you know, the Mexican president, she's doing what she can, but, you know, her nation really depends on the money that comes from these cartels, that comes from the United States, from people working here and sending money back home. So much so that she wrote a ballad, she wrote a song, like a love song to the people who were sending money back home. It is an integral part of who they are. And I get it from her nation, but on behalf of ours, we've had enough. We have enough of our family members, I agree with you, Tyrone, who have battled addiction, who are battling addiction. We've got to get a handle on it some kind of way. We've tried diplomacy. We've tried the war on drugs on our end of the equation. And sometimes it just does mean sending in the troops to get a situation straightened out that diplomacy couldn't work with.
Yeah. Shelley, I mean, if we send in troops, how long do you think this thing is going to go on? I mean, this sounds like this could be a full-out war, no?
It could be, which is why I'm 50-50. Okay, I'm still thinking it through a little bit more. The 50%, I would say that I would agree, up to the point where I have been for having the military on our borders for a long time. And certainly down at the border, southern border, you know, Coast Guard as well, you know, ships and whatever other parts that play to bring in these illegal, these drugs and all of these other contraband items. I am certainly for that. I think that our military would be well used to literally protect our borders. That's number one. Going into Mexico with the Mexican president, I'm a 50, that's the 50 side where I'm not too sure about that. Because I do think that Mexico needs to use its military to handle on its side of the border. So, so again, I'm also open to maybe bringing in the United Nations. I mean, hell, that's what we pay them for. They're supposed to be peacekeepers around the world. So, I mean, why not use them to help in this way? Again, I'm not for it totally. I'm not against it totally. There's some more information and thinking that I would need to do.
And let me say one more thing. The Scheinbaum, she can do something right now. She can let her citizens have a Second Amendment. That's one of the reasons
solve
why.
a whole lot of problems. Yes, sir.
Right. That's one of the reasons
Solve a
why the
lot of
cartels can run roughshod, because nobody else is armed. Okay.
Good
So
point.
she needs to do that ASAP.
Yeah. I agree. But one thing that I haven't heard enough talk about is the part of the government, the CIA, and maybe the FBI that are actually part of this drug business. So we know it has been reported in the past that our government, parts of our government, are also getting money from these cartels. There are parts of our government officials that are paid off to keep this cartel and this drug trade, human trafficking running. So we can this whole thing, we'll send the army over as much as we want, but if they don't get into how many of these officials are being paid off to keep this drug trade running, and the law enforcement agents that are bought and paid for, it's not going to do any good. It's just going to be a bunch of lives lost.
Exactly.
Exactly. We need to look into that as well. Yeah.
And I mean, and then to add to that point, KJ, again, all of these things are intertwined. There's so many parts that play along in this this assembly line or this belt that pushes out this stuff. Let's add in the pharmaceutical company, right? Because they actually need patients who are addicted. So, I mean, if you cut it off, they're not going to have as many patients who are addicted to whatever drugs that they need to, quote unquote, get them off of the drugs that they're addicted to. So they get addicted to something else that's legal. I mean, either way.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's all about money. So we will continue to follow this story. It is sad because I know probably every one of us and all you guys in the chat know people that have fallen into drug addiction and abuse, and not just adults, but children. So it is very sad. And, my heart and prayers go out to anyone struggling with that. I am glad that President Trump is in office now, because at least he's paying attention to it, and by him really cutting down on the border and using and getting the border closed, it does help a lot as well. So we will continue to follow that. In better news, or brighter news, I should say, is Trump's 250th anniversary parade. So Nicole has been talking about this for quite some time on the show, and it's closer and closer. As you guys know, President Trump announced plans for a grand military parade in Washington, D.C. to commemorate the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, coinciding with his 79th birthday on June 14th. But you guys know the left, the Democrats, and media are losing their minds over this. Take a look. This is clip 5.
There is this plan for the military/birthday parade. I'm curious, how do you think reporters should cover this? Are we just going to be standing there walking alongside the parade like business as usual? What are you going to do, and what do you think our industry should do to handle this and contextualize it in the most appropriate way?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a fantastic question. I'm sure that is a discussion happening across newsrooms in the country. I think first and foremost, everything with this administration, the reality is that context is king, right? You want to report on what is happening in the moment, but you also want to report on everything that surrounds it, understanding its place in society, understanding where it's coming from, understanding whether or not Donald Trump is, how truthful he's being about certain things. Obviously, the military parade is something that Donald Trump has been talking about since the campaign trail. There are other countries that Trump visited when he stepped one foot inside of North Korea that also has things like military parades, right? So we kind of see the genesis of maybe where he's getting some of these ideas. But I think for our purposes as journalists, we have to do what we're doing day in and day out, which is speak truth without fear or favor of what this administration could do. And that's honestly telling people that, it's not going to be free, that it's going to cost potentially $45 million is what estimates have said, that it would fall on different units inside of the Army, including the Navy, all those things like that, potentially taking away from money that's used for training. And just really all about how this military parade not just came to be, but its effect in the country and whether or not, you know, it's something that Americans want to see on their streets.
God, these people make me sick. They're miserable. Context is king. She means spin is king. They are trying to spin this. Shelley, what are your thoughts there?
All right, well, you might say I'm trying to spin it. Let me say this. As much as I want this parade, I wish it had happened or takes place on July the 4th, only for the symbolic, the independence, the Declaration of Independence. Not, it just so happens that Trump's birthday is June 14th. I get it. That's Flag Day. But I wish it took place on July the 4th because everybody celebrates, I think, July 4th more so than June 14th, not that it's not important. And just for the symbolism of it, he is going to get some flack about, oh, it's only for him. And now he's using the military and you got Doge, but yet he's spending all this money on his birthday parade. So this is to be expected. I just wish it would have taken place on July 4th, not June 14th.
All right. Nicole, so the event will also include a parachute jump by the Golden Knights, musical performances. Of course, we mentioned military demonstrations, fireworks. I mean, I'm of the mindset where you can never have too many parties. You can never have too many celebrations. And after the 4 years that we just went through of horror, not just the 4 years, but also the COVID scamdemic, I think it's a great idea. What are your thoughts, Nicole?
Listen, it's going to be a party, but it's going to be a much smaller party than what's going to happen, Shelley, July 4th of 2026. This nation, you talk about rockets, red glare, honey, it's going to be a party. And there are going to be so many things that happen. You know, I think you're right, KJ, the United States needs a party. We need something to kind of get ourselves back in that patriotic kind of mindset. And again, I wish it, like Shelley, I wish it wasn't happening in and around his birthday because that just gives the media more quote unquote context to this military parade. However, I love a party, especially a party with people falling out the sky, nice, planes running in the military marching. I think it's amazing. It happens on military posts around the country all the time. We celebrate our military, absolutely celebrate our military. This July 4th, though, one of the things that President Trump has allowed to come back is fireworks to Mount Rushmore, which people who live in that area will know that the Biden administration stopped. So we're getting back to Americana. America is back, baby. Let's party. Party on. Party on, party on. And the media should cover it like they cover everything else, with their thumb up their butt and then with their eyes closed, telling the American people what they think may have happened if they had been there, if they were watching. They don't really like us like that.
I know. They hate America.
Yeah, they don't like us.
I mean, but you put a pride parade in there. You put a pride flag.
A gay man
a trans, right. And they go on there butt naked and everybody there, dildos hanging out the back and everything, and bring your kids. But just to celebrate America, which should encompass everyone, black, white, red, blue, white, whatever color you are, whether you are here, you immigrated here legally or you were born here, it's America. What is wrong with that? Tyrone, your thoughts?
Well, it's not these parades in America this is not unprecedented. We've done this before. The 40s, we had a couple to celebrate victories in World War II. While the war was going on, we had one in 42, had another one in 46. We had one, and these are military parades for Eisenhower's inauguration, Kennedy's inauguration. We had one to celebrate the victory in the Gulf War. Okay, so this is nothing new. And if they were about journalism, that's what they'd be reporting. But some people say, and my good friend LJ commented here, that we need to stop giving, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't see the comment, we need to stop giving the left fodder. But no matter what we do, they're going to complain. So why not just, do your thing? Okay, they're going to complain. If Trump literally went down in the basement of the White House tonight and figured out cold fusion, they would complain. Okay, so to hell with them. Let's have a military parade. All these taxes we pay. Yeah, I want to see this equipment. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm for honoring our military, all the forces. Again, I just think like Trump is giving them, like you said, this fodder, if you will, just because his birthday happens to fall on Flag Day. I'm not against the parade in and of itself. I'm certainly not against celebrating our military. I want all the armed forces to be there. I want them all walking down the streets, every city in America, so that these leftists can feign fear of the military looking like a dictatorship. Yeah.
You know what? Let's go ahead and spend it some more, right? Because I've been known to spend a little bit myself. Let's call it military / Juneteenth parade. And see if we can get the Dems to wrap their mind around that, huh? Let's see what happens then. There'll be heads busting up.
Right.
MSNBC, CNN, they would all be dying in the streets. That's what he should do. Boy, I can't wait till I go back to the White House. I can tell you know what? Let's make that the Juneteenth parade. Put the black soldiers up front. Let's call it a Juneteenth parade and see what happens.
Or reenact going back to Galveston, Texas, and freeing the slaves.
Oh my gosh, a reenactment would be so good. It would be so good.
I want to see.
I'm just for the red, white, and blue, and people just having a good time, eating hot dogs and hamburgers, and just celebrating this country. Everybody just coming together. Not divided and celebrating, but the left, they will ruin a wet dream. They hate anything good.
That's what I say all the time.
Listen, I want to see, and I know Trump probably watches this show. I want to see it like that. I want to see some nuclear missiles coming down on the truck. I want to see Robert F. Kennedy. He's into falconing. I want to see him with his arm outstretched with a bald eagle. This is what I want to see. Okay?
That would be cool. That would be cool.
that would be amazing.
Cool. A bald eagle, a condor, a hawk, all them big birds. That would be cool, Tyrone.
That would be amazing.
Don't forget the elephants for Kamala.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Well, speaking of criticism about president, and also I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat. Sound off, please. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a good idea to have this parade, or do you think it's a bad idea to have this grand military parade in Washington, D.C. to commemorate the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary and President Trump's 79th birthday, apparently in June 14th. So that's going to be right before Father's Day, I believe. So sound off in the chat. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Yeah, Trace Chocolate City says, I missed it. She said, Angie celebrating the blacks, right?
Let's market it as a Juneteenth parade. I'm telling you, you talk about take over a news cycle. Right. That would take this news cycle completely over.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? President Trump is not. He's not immune, or he's certainly used to criticism, and that takes us to this CBS interview with Kristen Welker, and he was ready for her, man. Oh my gosh. So he just did this interview on CBS with Kristen Welker. I believe it aired Sunday. And in the interview, and he calls out fake news. I mean, he gives her the business. Take a look at this clip here. It's clip 2.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, What Trump's done for the automobile, I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your product here. It's very easy. It's very simple.
Yeah. But these people, the corporate media protects globalist economics. It's clear and simple at the expense of American labor. Tyrone, what are your thoughts there?
He's absolutely right. I mean, look, first of all, if I'm Trump, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. Let me finish the answer.
Right.
Okay. First of all, show me some respect. Let me finish the answer before you ask another question, lady. Otherwise, I'm out. That's number one. They do that too often. But we'll let Kamala and Biden ramble on. Okay. As far as the tariffs are concerned, look, if you're a business owner and you're under pressure because of the tariffs here in America, then retool. Okay. When 2008 hit, we had to figure something out because one of our businesses is real estate. Okay. And so what we did was we made more inroads with the financial institutions. There is nothing in this world that is guaranteed beyond us leaving here. All right. So if you're a business owner, I don't want to hear you crying about, oh, well, you enjoyed it when it was, when times were fat. Now you have to maneuver. Okay. If you don't like that as a business owner, what you need to do is you need to go and get a job and get some stability, because owning your own business, especially a small business, is anything but stable and serene. You always have to be on your toes. Okay. So switch to something that maybe you could play the arbitrage game with these tariffs and start. I tell so many women of color this. Start manufacturing weave right here in America. Okay. At this point, you can do it for 145% less than the Chinese can. Okay. Seriously. Think of ways to take advantage of the situation. Kristen Welcome, she makes a paycheck every 2 weeks. She doesn't have to worry. Just come on TV and be annoying and you'll get paid. Okay. But she's not talking to the real business owners out there.
Yeah. Shelly, she kept saying, but what about small businesses? What about small businesses?
Yeah. See, this is the part that really irks me about these progressives and leftists, because I remember during 2020, and I don't even have to remember it. You can Google it and go to federalreserve.gov. In Q1 of 2020, over 700,000 small businesses, and that's just one quarter, had to shut down or were put out of business thanks to these COVID closures. They didn't complain about that. In fact, these media types were on the heels of government, California, Maryland, across the country, to make sure everybody was masked up and all the businesses were closed. Even people who had businesses outside, the small businesses went into debt. They tried to make their business safe, if you will, as much as they could. They had masks, they had sanitizers, they had X's on the ground for 6 feet apart. All of these fake solutions that didn't work anyway. And the media largely supported it. They didn't give a damn about these people and their families and their businesses shuttering. Some of them are still recovering. Many of them have not. Okay. So Kristen, I can never pronounce her damn name. Kristen Welker, go sit on a damn tack. You're phony. You're just making this up, and you're finding any issue you can that can just support and not give the other side, like President Trump is saying. There are big businesses, there's small businesses who are going to benefit. Some of them, yes, may struggle a little bit with that particular industry or whatever, but in the end, things are going to balance out. They're going to win. They're going to win much, much better and fare much better than they did under the 4 years almost damn near of closing down businesses and people's lives.
Agreed.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
Well, this is by White House proclamation, Small Business Week, May 4th through 10. This is it. By cutting regulations and more red tape, Trump has made it a little bit easier for small businessmen and entrepreneurs to kind of get their feet wet. But Tyrone has a valid point. You know, if your business is impacted by tariffs, retool is what he says. But there's this great book called Who Moved My Cheese? It's a great book about business. Now, you can continue to go to the spot and wait for the free cheese to come. It ain't coming. Right. Or you can go find the damn cheese. Get something that you can manufacture, because manufacturing is a big boon now. There's lots of support for manufacturing. Just move in a direction where your business can stay profitable, if you can. If you can. If you can't, Tyrone also had other great, words of advice. Get a job. Get another job until your industry rebounds, or you can think it through. But don't sit there and wait for the federal government to come rescue you. It's not coming. It is not coming.
And every time it comes with a cost. It might not happen that first year, but we're paying for it even now. All of these, PPE and all these other
loans and
all these other monies that we're giving out. That's taxpayer money, and we're finding so much corruption and fraud, and that even some businesses or people who receive them, they may have to pay some of that back.
Right. You're absolutely right. But they don't give a damn about small businesses or any of it. They don't care. They just want something to say to try to bring President Trump down and his administration. They're trying their hardest. Every good news headline, nobody's even talking about how now China has started to lower their tariffs on some goods. I haven't heard any of them say anything about that.
Well, then you haven't seen this morning's Soldiers of Finance episode.
Talk about it, Tyrone. Yeah,
Tyrone said, I covered it. Shut up.
Well, yeah, we are talking about that. There's an upload on the channel now where we not only lay out the fact that China is capitulating, but also the fact that trade parity may not have been the only thing behind this from Trump's perspective. It may have been regime change also. So when folks get a chance, they should check out that upload.
Yes, Soldiers of Finance, folks. Right, that's Tyrone's channel here. You definitely want to check that out for all your political, financial, economic news and more. But they just want something to talk about. I want to acknowledge our super chatters. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you.
Yes,
and I see you moderators out there pushing out the, keeping the chat going. You guys are live tonight, another night. Thank you guys so much. I have Jasper Vetti with the $10 super chat. Thank you. Another one, $5 super chat. Says the left loves their homo promo more so than the people who defend their country.
Truth.
It is. It really is. So yes, you folks keep commenting, hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a larger audience. And speaking of criticizing President Trump, let's get into it. The AI photos of him as the Pope. So the left now is trying to create some big issue about this. Take a look here. This is clip one.
No respect for any religion except himself.
And ultimately, this is about propaganda, right? And I think Ruth Ben-Ghiat made this point earlier in the show, which I think is very important. Even if they do this in jest, and J.D. Vance came out and said that this is a joke or he can take this as a joke, he ultimately is pushing the boundaries of what we think is acceptable, normal, joking behavior. Donald Trump is not a comedian. And for me, where I draw the line is, look, if he makes this offensive comment as a private citizen on his own private individual account, so be it. But the problem is that it gets reposted by the official White House account. That is your account, my account, everyone's account. That is our taxpayer dollars that are paying for it. The White House official social media account should not be mocking American Catholics or Catholics around the world, but certainly not American Catholics who are going through a period of mourning right now and whose tax dollars should not be used to mock their religion in any way, shape, or form.
And earlier today, you were talking about some of the hypocrisy here.
Yes.
That there was a lot of Sturm and Drang about the use of the Last Supper during the
Paris Olympics, and then they were offended by that, but this one, they were
Well, I can guarantee you the attention.
Oh, let me, as a Catholic, let me, I want to say a phrase, a 2-word phrase that ends with please. ER. Listen, this is the same.
Hard R.
Under the Biden administration, Catholics were targeted by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, religiously persecuted by the state. And they didn't have anything to say about that.
Nope.
These are incredibly hypocritical people. And you can tell they're so disingenuous that they're just using this to try to play a game of scoring political points. They went to the FBI went to the homes of Catholics who may have participated in Latin Mass. You were a radical if you were an Orthodox Catholic under the so-called Catholic Joe Biden. So all of this criticism about this picture falls on deaf ears to me.
Yeah, that's the picture there. It was, of course, used with AI. AI did it. I mean, it was a joke. I don't know, because I'm not Catholic, so I don't know how big of an issue this is.
It's a non-issue.
Okay.
It's a non-issue. Nobody's talking about it. Okay. I went to Mass every day this week. Nobody's talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
What's funny is these are the same people who use that same AI to make him Hitler, that had the SS marching behind them. These are the same doggone people who make Republicans and conservatives across the country a variety of things using AI. Now, suddenly they're deeply religious and awfully offended. Save that for somebody who cares. We know you're not offended. You're looking for any chink in the chain to try to break off their siloed groups again, right? Where Trump is looking at America as a whole. We're not pandering to little tiny groups of Americans, but Americans as a whole. Here are Democrats doing what they do best. They're trying to break away little subsets of people. People should be offended. Catholic people should be offended. Break off over here and all of this. Let's not let them divide us. Let's stay together as a group. It was in poor taste. Absolutely. Does poor taste things happen at the White House all the doggone time? Because guess who works at the White House? People. And people have sixth sense of humor. There are people who work in my office that they think some things are funny, and I look at them, that is not funny to me. But there are, people who have different appetites for different types of humor. It sucks. I'm not Catholic, but I could see where somebody who is, deeply Catholic, like, let me say, Nancy Pelosi, probably looked at that picture and felt some kind of way. But for the rest of us, it's just in poor taste, and we just keep it pushing.
Now, what are your thoughts on this, Shelley? Do you think it was a big deal?
I thought it was funny. I will admit that I thought the timing was a little poor. I think the timing of it was. Putting it on the White House official page, I can even understand that to a degree. I can see it on Truth Media, X, and whatever, social media. I thought it was funny. I do, and I can understand if there are, I'm going to say Catholics, I do believe that the leftist media is trying to gin this up. I really believe that they're trying to, like Nicole said, use it for making propaganda, fear mongering, division. I do believe that. However, if it were done to any other religious group, even Protestants, maybe in some kind of way, I think they would have had been upset about it. I do. To be fair, I just think that it was in poor taste, or not maybe the timing. I thought it was funny myself, but the timing was a little off. I think it could have been at least waited until after the conclave is over or whatever. I don't know.
Well, President Trump responded. This is his response in clip 12.
Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.
My question, though, sir, was about the fact that it was put out on the White House account, even though it was AI generated, it was a joke, it was a meme. Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular channel?
Give me a break. It was just somebody did it in fun. It's fine. Have to have a little fun, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. We have some super chatters here, folks. Thank you all so much. All right, Laura, she says, I am Catholic, and I thought it was funny. All right.
And let me ask you guys a question. What's the last?
We got Roberto Hernandez with the $5 super chat says, I think it's effed up about the photo, but the last people I want to hear from is the liberal media. All right, Roberto, thank you so much. They always talk down on Christianity and persecuted by the government, but now it's big news. I agree.
What's the last real comedy you guys saw? The last comedy movie that I saw was Tropic Thunder. And I think it wasn't that 2010. The left has killed comedy.
Oh, yeah.
They've killed it. They don't understand it. Everything's so serious. They're so smug. They can't be made fun of. Okay. I'm not willing to play along with that. Okay. Now, sure, there may be some things. I think Dave Chappelle is hilarious 99% of the time. Okay. But for the 1% of the time, I don't think he's funny. I'm not trying to destroy comedy because of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good point. Well, we got to keep moving on here, folks. Please continue to hit that like button as you're coming in. Hit the like button. It really helps to get our video out to as many people as possible. And subscribe. If you're new here, subscribe. This is a channel where we are God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people. We value freedom. We love America, as I said, and we are not here to divide. We are here to unite around morals and like values. So please, if you believe in all that, you're at the right place. Okay. All right, and that's our Cash App. If you want to donate, that's a great way to do it there as well at Be More Pop Stars. There's the Cash App right there. Thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to go to some kind of heavy news. So this was a viral video on the internet of a Rochester, Minnesota mom appearing to hurl a racist slur at a Black child on a city playground earlier this week. It's been circulating widely on social media, garnering criticism from many viewers and $500,000 in donations from others. So we want to talk about this. First, I want you guys to take a look at what transpired. This is clip 4.
The child the nigger word? It is my own business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Okay.
Nigger.
All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody digging into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigger?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, a nigger, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh.
Fuck off.
All right. So let's get into it. So before we do, she has raised her, that is Shiloh Hendricks. That is the mom. She has a fundraiser, or she did have a fundraiser on Give, Send, Go titled Help Me Protect My Family, where she identified herself as the mother who appeared to use the slur in the video. She did not respond to a request for comment on Saturday. This is the New York Post reporting. However, she's attracted thousands of people on this account. Some signing off with names and comments referencing the Holocaust denial and white nationalism. Stated she had been harassed online after the video drew millions of views across TikTok, X, and Reddit, and she needed to raise money to relocate. She also said, "I called the kid out for what he was," Hendricks' fundraiser reads, adding that a man then began filming her and later posted the video of the encounter online, which has caused my family and myself great turmoil, she goes on to say. I want to get your thoughts on this. Start off with you, Shelley. Do you think she should have she should face criticism from this video?
She can face criticism. That doesn't mean she did anything illegal. Okay.
Right. No, nothing illegal.
I don't know. No, I'm saying that because the police were investigating it. Why? I don't know. What were the police needed to investigate it for? I don't know why they even stepped into that to investigate what. Do I agree with her doing that? No. I mean, this man making the video, putting it out, she raised over $600K for her protection. So what? It's First Amendment. She can call or whatever she wants. She walked away with her child. I don't know where the other child's parents were, but okay. I mean, was she kind of scummy for doing that? Okay, fine. But I don't believe in doxing people. I read that her she received death threats and her address and all that. I mean, I don't believe that's I guess I would say, if not equally, more wrong.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts there, Nicole?
Well, just a couple of points of clarification. This child is a Somali child. He's not Black. And this happened in a place where, people are feeling, quote unquote, marginalized by the hundreds of thousands of Somali refugees that have been placed in, quote unquote, places that used to be very, very white. So this is an ongoing battle between people who believe that, they should be in the majority in this place. And what happened, starting with Barack Obama, him dropping Muslim after Muslim after Muslim after Muslim there. And this is how we get Ilhan Omar and the other Somali, I forget her name, the woman in Congress. But with all of that said, this woman was apparently having an issue with this child digging through her child's things. And she said some fairly disgusting and horrible things. But her First Amendment right allows her to say that. With that said, First Amendment does not protect you from the consequences of your speech, without question. Now, do I believe in doxing people? No, I think it's unfair. It's happened to me several times. I don't think there should be websites dedicated to her and all of these other things that small-minded people do to think that they're striking a blow against her. If anything, you're just increasing her anxiety against people of color. Where was this child's mother? Is a $64,000 question. That's a big question for me. I mean, whether this child was 5 or 10, as some people are reporting, or older than that, as people are reporting, it's a public playground. He needs an adult with him. His mother being there would have solved this problem. His parent being there would have solved this problem before it got started. Was she disgusting? Absolutely.
Yep.
Was she behaving poorly? Absolutely.
Yep.
If that child's mother was there, the other child's mother was there, would she have acted that way? I have no doubt she would have kept her mouth shut. It would have been like, can you get your kid? Keep your kid away from mine. But it seems to me that as a nation, we can't let this be a divisive thing for us. We really can't. We have much bigger fish to fry than a mother at a park behaving badly.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Tyrone?
Well, I have kind of an alternate theory that may or may not be true. I think maybe these two know each other a little better than we may think. Mm-hmm. And to some extent, this could have been orchestrated to do exactly what it's done. Just raise a lot of money.
It may be. It's a good point.
That's kind of one of the thoughts that crossed my mind in terms of both of these individuals. Other than that, just degeneracy on display. And we've reached a point in the culture where we are voting to accept things through these platforms like Give, Send, Go. Okay. You have the victims get lost in the debate, kind of, right? Like the kids down in Texas, the young guy who allegedly stabbed the Metcalf kid, he's gotten a lot of money as well via one of these platforms. So it's just it's very weird what's going on in terms of the deification or glorification of the victim, of the alleged perpetrator.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, besides, we're going to get into her use of the N-word, but she hurled a plethora of profanity, and while she's carrying her toddler on her hip, so the woman was unhinged, in my opinion. I mean, as a mother, I've been to, oh my goodness, so many playgrounds, as many parents have with your child. And we don't really know exactly what the black boy did. I know they said he took something. I don't know if it was from her purse or was it from her child. But this is what kids do at a playground.
Exactly.
I mean, you go up. So I can't count on two hands how many times my son's been at the playground. Now he hadn't really taken anything that I know of. He may have, I didn't know of. But I have been in a situation where another kid takes something from him or whatever, and you just go over and you say, hey, that's his. You're not supposed to do that. You don't cuss the boy out.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is crazy to me.
And the point that they're making, I'm sorry, they pointed out that he was black or Somali, whatever. And
they also said that he was that he had Downs or something. The child was he had some type of disability.
Right. Yeah.
So again, that's another thing. But for this woman to not only call him all kinds of nigger this, nigger that, but she's foul-mouthed cussing in front of her own child. Who acts like this on a playground amongst other children?
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And you know what? And some people were saying in the chat, I said, wait, were his parents, the child's parents? I mean, in the sense of, stepping in, because this was going on, right? But when you're on the playground, I forget how old the child was. When you're on the playground, sometimes, at least when I grew up, parents can sit on the bench, read a book. You don't have to be right there on your child. I mean, come on. Can't they play on the swing side? And can't they fall a little bit? Get a little. Why do you have to be bubble wrapped on the playground? This reminds me of the show Monk. Everything is a germ. Everything has to be clean and protected. I mean, children can't get dirty. Damn if they fall and their hands are dirty. I don't know. Parents today, you don't know what you want to do first. You want to put a Band-Aid on or you want to get the hand sanitizer out? I mean, Lord have mercy. I mean, why can't... That's what I did when I took my child to the playground. I would be, like I say, I'm still sleep deprived. I would be tired, but it was like, you know what? Let's go. It's good for her to get out. Let's go play. I would sit on the bench. Of course, I'm watching, right? She make friends with other kids. They go up and down the playground. They might fall a little bit. Okay, I didn't run over there every time. Whatever.
Yeah, this was unhinged. And but now you have to stay with your kid, because you could have a stranger cuss him out on the playground. I mean, where are all the adults? Where are the children? Yeah. And I kind of disagree with you guys, because now I'm not about giving out people's addresses and all this type of stuff, but I'm actually glad her bad behavior was called out. The video was taken, and I don't, if she loses her job, she does. I mean, to me, it's just like, it was uncalled for. It was totally inappropriate, and she needs to be called out. Let me see here. We have some super chats here, folks. Thank you all so much. All right, we have Tijuana Border Jumper says she went overboard. but people are using it to try to divide us. I don't think she deserves anything but a bar of soap for her mouth. Thank you so much, Tijuana Border Jumper. Colin with the $10 super chat says, great content, guys. God bless. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Roberto Hernandez with the $10 super chat says, the white lady is clearly racist and criticism is well-deserved. There's white racist whites out there. It is true. But Black liberals are openly racist against whites and not complain about it. I 100% agree. I agree. And, you know, I think what divides us sometimes in situations like this is when we don't call it out, you know, on both sides. And this is what we do here, you know, whether it's white or Black, we call it out. Now, I want to get into the N-word part. This is Officer Tatum also responded to this video, and he had a different take to it. I want to get your guys' opinion on this. This is clip 7.
Y'all can buy the tickets. Y'all can support with the merch. Y'all can go on tour. You can buy VIP tickets. You can make the person a platinum artist. You can do all that, but you better not sing his song publicly. Mexicans can do it. White, Black can do it. You name it. But white folks, white folks who are the majority hip hop supporters, who give the most money to hip hop artists. The only reason hip hop artists are rich right now is because of white people all over the world. And y'all say they can't say the word. This is why that girl had a GoFundMe that was insane. A Give, Send, Go, because she would have got banned on GoFundMe. What's the link to the comments?
It's an Instagram. It's an Instagram thing. We're not logged in, so.
No, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. The guy had reported, I just want to clear this up. The guy had reported that it was a 5-year-old. That wasn't a 5-year-old. That kid looked a lot bigger than a 5-year-old. But I just wanted to clear it up because I don't think that kid was 5. But I will say that some of y'all need to make sure your kids acting right and quit raising these thugs to do stuff. Now, I don't know if that kid was a thug. I don't know if he did what she said he did. More than likely, he did do what she said he did. That don't mean him. That don't.
Okay, I didn't understand his take on it, honestly. I mean, we don't know what that. I wouldn't have called the boy a thug. I mean, he said he wasn't. I didn't understand what was the point of him saying that. You know.
He was going through the woman's bag.
He was going through the woman's bag.
He was going through that woman's bag. So
well, that's what I don't understand, because first it was said he was going through her bag, but then she said he was taking something from her child.
From out the bag, from her kid's
out of the
bag. Some of her stuff, something that belonged to her child out of a bag that she had on.
He was digging in the bag and taking out this other boy's toys. And her
that's a thug.
Everything is primed for social media. Everything needs to be posted. Of course, she was over the top or whatever you said. Of course, she was. Maybe the child did go through the bag or whatever. Maybe he was older. I don't know. The part again.
Let's say he was 7. So what?
No, I get you. I'm with you there. I don't understand. I mean, she was over the top. Don't get me wrong. Like you said, where his parents were, maybe to come and correct it, whatever. Kids would do this even if it's not on the playground. I didn't understand. Again, I'm not for the doxing and releasing people's address. Everything doesn't need to be on social media. In a normal world, so to speak, this probably would have been handled if the adults were just there. Johnny, no, you don't do that. You know, whatever. Her son, whatever you want to call him. They probably would have been playing on the playground together the next 5 minutes. Okay, but now this is all blown
up. I don't know about that. And the reason why I don't know about that,
I'm talking about the normal world.
No, but because some people are saying, and this is what Officer Tatum said that, you know, a lot of people are, you know, white people are getting tired of Black people always crying victim and always doing this whole race baiting and things like that, which I get. But this woman was a racist. Not only did she call the little boy a nigger, she called the guy who was talking to her one too. I mean, this is just out of control. I mean, where is the humanity from people anymore? You on a playground. I mean, this is crazy to me. And again, she has her child on her hip and she's acting this way in front, not only to another child, but her child is seeing all this. It's just crazy to me.
It is crazy, KJ. I still don't understand. I wish someone would tell me, or maybe you know in the chat. I don't understand why the police were involved in this.
Because somebody was offended. You know, that's what you're supposed to do when you're offended. You're supposed to call the police, and they're supposed to come and arrest the person who hurt your feelings, right? Because feelings matter. This is ridiculous. This is something that should have been a non-story, a non-starter, a non-nothing. You know, it's a waste of everybody's time even considering it. I think Officer Tatum's take on the use of the N-word, though, is a very interesting one, and we're starting to hear that more and more. Is that as we consider language and the games that people play with language, is it really an offensive word when it's, you know, maybe 50, 60, 70% of most hip hop songs? So when you hear people call one another hard R, right? Does it really make a difference if the person has less melanin who says the same thing? The thing
Only to black people does.
The thing that offended me the most was this Somali guy was offended about this Somali child being called the N-word, right? But I was more offended when she licked her tongue out at him, because I thought that was lowbrow, cheap, dirty rant. You know, I was like, okay, so we on the playground. That's some fighting, you know, stick your tongue out at me, lady. But I feel like this is so overblown, and it really does show you where we are as a culture.
And, you know, it's, again, this is why I can't shake the notion that this might just be some orchestrated injection of racial division that the media puts out there from time to time. They put this out through social media because they're starting to learn that it's taken more seriously than legacy media. And, you know, it's keeping us from talking about really important things like the fact that a former, I think she was a Clinton official. No, she was a Bush official. Just divulged that the government spent $27 trillion on underground cities for elite members of the society. So that's something that I think we should be
talking
outraged about. And look, let's be honest, guys. This is trailer trash arguing with some dude that may have some charges on him. This happens thousands of times a day throughout the slums of America. But they've got us focused on it, okay? To the detriment of us paying attention to things that really matter.
Right. The emotionalism is just on full display, and it does us no good. It does us no good.
Well, speaking of triggered, as Trey's Chocolate City just said, Matt Walsh was triggered this week. So Matt Walsh was triggered by feminism. So he's been talking a lot about this lately. And in his recent show, again, Matt Walsh is a pundit on the Daily Wire. He said that he feels like feminism is starting to take over in the conservative movement. And he says that feminism in his mind should not be part of conservatism. Take a look at this. This is clip 9.
Here at the airport, I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia.
He said he was not able to make that happen. Said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. Trump administration is lying about Abrego Garcia.
This is why independent media is so important. Thanks to people like you, patriots who love America and stand for truth, we're making a difference. Together, we've turned them off, called them out for their lies and propaganda, and held them accountable for their disdain for God-fearing, freedom-loving Americans like us. But we can't stop here. It's time to take action with our dollars. Let's make 2025 the year we double down on our commitment to values-driven choices. Vote with your dollars. Support Made in America. Back companies that honor our families, faith, and country. We found an exciting way to make this switch, and we want you to join us. Check out www.popandswitch.com and click Yes, I Want to Make the Switch. It's that easy. It's time to walk away from corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard that undermine our principles. Let's invest in America. Let's support businesses that share our love for this country. You don't have to take on everything at once, but you can start here. Join us in making this one small yet powerful step. Visit www.popandswitch.com. Click the link and schedule a call with our team to learn how you can make the switch. Together, we can create real change.
What's up, guys? This is Giovanni, co-founder of Metro Conservative Media. We are the definitive home for the urban conservative. You think you got what it takes? Go to metroconservativemedia.com and click join the movement now.
Do we play clip 9?
Call out my own party, but the young girls on the right promoting this like trad wife. I just want to make sourdough for my husband. That's great. I'm all for it. I promote traditional values. I understand. I have been working since I was very young. I don't really plan on stopping working. I suggest you find a hobby that makes you money. But you guys, guess what? Guess what, baby girl? That lifestyle working out, a man, a provider, you just get to sit at home, bake bread every day, slim to none. I would say none that's going to work out for you or quite literally anyone you know. You're actually setting yourself up for failure because it could not be easier, if that's what you're going to pursue, to be trapped by a man. Okay? Also, let's bring some other things to the table besides sourdough. Guys want to be mentally stimulated as well as physical, okay? But I'm just like, please, you guys are too young to be promoting this. And also, by the way, it's cringe.
Well, yes, Emily, I am cringing, but not because of the trad wives. I'm cringing at this lame, half-baked attack on stay-at-home moms, and I'm cringing even more at the fact that women with these kinds of views are still embraced as conservative. Attacking, so-called gender roles is a fundamentally leftist thing, which means you cannot be conservative if you hold fundamentally leftist views. Now, you have every right to express those views and to hold them, but you should not be embraced as a conservative, much less listened to as a spokeswoman for the movement.
All right. So, I want to start with you, Shelley. What are your thoughts on what he said about that?
I'm going to agree with Megyn Kelly on this one. I think Matt Walsh, again, we've said this before. I've said it before. I am not anti-homemakers, women, moms, wives that want to stay home. By no means am I. I think he goes a little far. And I always like to distinguish between, first, second, third wave feminism, toxic feminism, just like there could be toxic masculinity. I think, I don't know what this woman was talking about. I don't know what she means being trapped. I mean, she was a little mocking, but I do think that Matt Walsh, he just kind of like beats that drum. And I think he does look down on conservative women, no less, who happen to work outside the home. Newsflash, Matt Walsh, I don't see many conservative women going back to or not working outside the home, or at least not working at all. I don't see many, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing it either way. And this idea of you can't be a conservative. Well, in the 70s, I think the 80s, the conservative movement was clearly, well, at least there were some distinctions. There were some social conservatives, there were fiscal conservatives, there were some that were more moderate. So now everybody has to be this one monolith, everything conservative, or you're not. You can't disagree in one aspect, or you're just not. Well, who told Matt Walsh that he gets to decide who's a conservative?
All right. What are your thoughts there, Tyrone, as the male on the panel?
Well, the reality is that we live in economic times that don't necessarily support, women not being in the workforce to some degree. Okay, this is not Ward and June Cleaver, where a house costs $3,000 and you could support the whole family on, his one salary as a Madison Avenue ad man. Okay, this is a different era. So to the extent that women have to do that because the family likes living in a house and eating, 3 times a day, that's the economic reality. But for those who can still afford to have the woman stay home, I think that's actually the ideal situation when we're talking about society. Because if you look at society now, you can track this, you can graph it. 1913 is when the income tax was initiated. And then from that point until the days of Gloria Steinem, the CIA tried to figure out, well, how, and other government agencies, how do we get this woman out of the house into a situation where she too is paying taxes and kicking up to the government so we can build this $27 trillion underground city for the elite? Okay. So that's what you have. Feminism was foisted on the public so that you could get another W-2 taxable income. And it has, we see that literacy is in the toilet. Math skills are in the toilet. Juvenile crime is up. Teen pregnancy is up. All of these things started to spike when we saw the decrease in not just stable homes, but the increase in divorce as well, or people just deciding not to get married. So these traditional roles that have actually existed for thousands of years, that was for a reason, okay? And we see what the lack of that is doing to our society.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts there? What he said?
I think Matt Walsh often uses a hammer when he really needs to use a scalpel. But again, he makes his money being a hammer. So we should expect nails being driven by Matt Walsh, right? But the woman in the video, I think she has it all wrong. Certainly this friend of hers that's married to this man brings a lot more to the table other than sourdough, or she would not have been chosen. Hear that? Chosen as his wife. He didn't go to Walmart and just pick one off the shelf. He likely dated a bunch of chicks and settled on her because she had the same core values that he has. And if those core values for that man means that he prefers sourdough than her being out in the workforce, that's between them. There's none of your doggone business, Miss Ma'am. Mind your business. What we don't need here in this movement is suddenly Gloria Steinem 2.0 coming in, telling women who have traditional families, you don't have to be traditional. That whole Oprah moment, everybody get out and get a job. The children will be fine. Well, the children aren't fine. And Tyrone hit the nail on the head. The children aren't fine. They're overly emotional. They're highly sexualized, not only heterosexual sex, but as we've seen in schools, homosexual sex and some other sex that I probably am not old enough to know about. All of this to say, when we have women who are being divisive with other women about who works at home and who stays at home and who works outside the house, it causes confusion where there doesn't need to be any. Women have it, fellas. Let us do our thing. Thank you, Matt, for your contributions to the movement, but this is no place for your hammer. I agree with Megan on this. This is no place for the hammer. This is a scalpel moment.
Yeah, I think too many people are, like too many hammers. I think there's too many hammers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Megyn Kelly, but sometimes she's a hammer in this category too. And I think she's gone a little too far. And the same way with Matt. I think he's gone a little too far in this. I do agree with what you said, Nicole, about, people are going to make up their own minds what they want and what they don't want. So let it be up to those couples. I do think, though, as we've commented about this many times, the pendulum has swung way too far. Mm-hmm. And now we are pushing young kids or youth, young adults to singledom. We're not encouraging marriage. We're not encouraging family. Now our girls are only told about get a job, go to school, get a job, be independent woman. And, we're finding that not a lot of men like that. They want you to be smart enough to hold a conversation. And if you want to work, you can work. but you also want to be a woman that can be led. And so we're finding that. But again, society now are telling women that forget the marriage, forget the family, be about your education and career. And then now we have a situation where we have low birth rates. Marriages are falling apart, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a little bit. We need scalpels on both ends. I think I do agree with him about the conservative, the feminism, somewhat. And like you mentioned, Shelley, distinguishing between first wave and second wave. Now we have this whole girl gone wild feminism,
right?
Which I don't, think is good for anybody. And I do think sometimes these so-called conservative feminists are more feminist than conservative. I do feel that.
In some circles that's an oxymoron. You know what I mean? Like, so being a feminist doesn't mean what the word implies. Like the word implies that you're pro-woman, right? That you're pro everything about every kind of woman, when they're not. These are progressives who are infiltrating the conservative movement to tell you exactly what Gloria Steinem told them back in the day. Honey, you can do better. You can do better. Go out, get your education, get yourself a job, and you can get married later. Well, what happens is you get so used to being single, so used to having your own, doing your own. When someone does approach you, when you can find a man who has the nerve to walk up to you, right? Because there's a whole nother conversation we're not having about raising your sons to be men. We can save that for another night. But when you have these women who look at men and go, well, listen, I make six figures easy. I've got super rich friends and powerful friends. I have my own house, my own car. What can you do for me? This is all the stuff I bring to the table, blah, 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 blah. And this dude is dating sourdough bread who just wants to be pretty and make you some nice bread. Who do you think he's choosing? He's picking sourdough. At least she knows how to cook. And she looks good while she's doing it. And he don't have to have this woman who's going to start out as girlfriend but end up his mother. Right?
Right.
That's what happens in these relationships. And then they end up divorced and people are going, I wonder why people are getting divorced. Because you started out as my girlfriend and you ended up my mother. I already have one of those. I don't need another one. This is a whole conversation that we really need to have about human sexuality, not the sex part, but how we relate to each other as consenting adults in the United States. There's a big conversation to be had about that. Matt Walsh is not wrong. I'm just saying he brought a hammer where he should have used a scalpel.
I agree.
There's some nuance that has to happen here. And it's different when you're multimillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Very different.
This is Gloria Steinem and her late husband.
Yes.
David Bale. Okay. Gloria Steinem, the architect of all of this stuff, was happily married. She never got divorced. Unfortunately, passed away with a cancer, but she was married.
Well, listen here. He probably left her a very nice estate where she's not going to have to be lonely. It's a lot of these so-called independent, I got my own. They're dying alone.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah. And when you take it out of just the material aspect of our society, okay, you got to go out and make money so you can get all this material good. And you look at life as, the journey that it is. You want a partner in that journey. This is how this was designed by God to begin with.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put you all outside this garden and you're going to have to partner in order to make it work. And so that's what you want. You want an actual partner where you all are working together, not playing tug of war. And sure, marriage is, I've been married it'll be 24 years in May. It's not always, anybody that's married can tell you, it's not always going to be, happiness. We're two people. The politics are going to ensue. But we're a partnership, okay, going through this life together. All right. So people who are feeding into this message and being convinced that they should walk this road alone, That's very unfortunate. And again, as they age, it's going to be tragic.
Yeah.
It's even worse now when you see them trying to, at a much older age, trying to find what they call suitable mates. Well, he's got to be this, he's got to be that, he's got to be this, he's got to be that. It's like, okay, so God didn't make any of them. You better pick one of these ones that he made available to you, and not lower your standards, but up your maturity level, right?
That's a good way.
Up your maturity level, because this is not about what he lacks. It's about your perceived value. If I hear another grown woman tell me she's a prize, where? You a whole human being. You're not a prize. This is not a carnival. Girl, you better date that dude, like I know. You better show up.
Do you remember the end of Car Wash? Does anybody remember the movie Car Wash?
I remember the movie. What happened at the end?
Okay, because the guy had been trying to holler at her for the entire movie. And he just broke down and said, let me tell you something. You are sitting here waiting for a prince. I'm your prince, okay? And you're going to miss out if you don't take advantage of this, okay? And she ended up going out with him.
And that's a good point. Like Nicole and Tyrone, you're saying, it's also about managing your expectations, right? But for many people, women, men, whatever, today, many have literally grown up on social media and all of whatever reality, this and all of these, whatever, the housewife, whatever. I'm just using that. I've never seen one, but these soap opera like shows, this soap opera like life. And that's not even reality, let alone, we know it's fake, but many people have that. It reminds me of the movie with Jim Carrey when he was raised by the TV, all these different characters.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? I forget.
The Truman Show.
Truman Show.
Yeah, he was raised by all these characters, and he didn't even know who the hell he was. He didn't know reality from fiction.
Right.
So,
yeah, you're right. It's it creates it's fake, and people are trying to make this fake world reality. And all of this social media, all of it, it's fake. It's fake, and this is and I think it's all part of Marxism. Because they want us to, in this transcendentalism, they want us to eventually live in the virtual world. They want that. And so what happens now is a lot of people are realizing that all this stuff online is not real life. And they get depressed when they realize that. And so people start not going out in the world. They start just staying inside. And so what do you have? You have these cyber people like, Jeff Bezos and all these other people who are trying to create a digital world, a virtual world for people like this to just basically live in. This is where we're going. They don't want us outside. They don't want us in the real world. That was the whole scamdemic was about. They're trying to usher in this virtual world, and people are now starting to believe this online stuff is real. And well, I think that they're realizing it's not. But once they start putting out this virtual reality, real virtual reality, where you become an actual member of this digital reality, people not going to ever go out.
And you're so right. And the danger in that is we're moving from materialism and conspicuous consumerism into this transhumanism.
Yeah, right.
And that's why it's so important, I think, for people to reject those notions and accept experiences. Okay.
Absolutely.
Traveling through this life with a companion is one of those experiences. Go out to a park, take a hike, literally. Okay. It might set you back $2. Okay. In Maryland. Sometimes they have the gate open and you can just walk. Okay. Stack up experiences. That's what this life is all about. Sure. You can't do without money, just like you can't do without oxygen. We needed to move through the world. But the fact that you've got fake Learjet sets where people go sit in the private jet set to make it appear as though they are on a private jet. And it's like, what is that all about? Right. We got to really shake that as a society and get out of that and get back to experiences and relationships.
Absolutely. What I say?
I was just gonna say,
I'm sorry.
This is why the trans is becoming so popular, because believe it or not, a lot of these trans people, trans women, I should say, online, they look real. They look like a real woman, sound like a real woman. You know, with all the filter and the eyelashes and the hair and the makeup and all that stuff. And then you get them online, they actually look like a real woman.
Right.
But when you're in person, you hear that voice, you see that Adam's apple, you know, and you see all this makeup, this fake hair. When you see them in person, you realize, oh my gosh, this is a man.
Yeah.
It's a man, baby.
Oh,
it's a man.
Yeah. You know what I say, KJ?
Yeah.
Real life, real people, real time.
Absolutely.
It beats the whatever, the AI every time, the social media, the fabricated worlds. It just does. When you have, like you said, these experiences, when I'm out in Tyrone, I call it mini hike. All right. I don't have all this backpack, but I love it. I get out and hike. I meet people, you know, dogs and all kinds of stuff. When I'm just out, even during the day, meeting people, you know, at work or things like that. It helps to keep me seriously in reality. Because on social media, internet, you know, you said, like you said, all these made up worlds and sets and things like that. I could easily forget that I'm dealing with real people in real time, in real life, with real issues, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes, you know what I find? One of the best things that I love, sometimes people just need to know that you are there. They don't need anything else. They just need literally a hand holding your hand. Maybe you can pray with them, talk with them, holding whatever, a hug. And it's like, wow, there are actual people here. And it's that important to have those experiences.
It's skin hunger. We talk about it in behavioral health all the time. Skin hunger is very real, especially with young men. When they get to that stinky age, when they hit like 10, 11, and them hormones start coming through their skin, no matter how much they bathe, they smell like sweaty men, right? Now, it's a short time. It's not the rest of their lives, but it's a short time where little boys are kind of stuck in the matrix, so to speak. They're no longer babies, but they're definitely not teenagers. They're somewhere in between. Most parents stop hugging their children at that age. They don't touch them anymore. They don't. And it's not because you make a conscious decision to do it. It's just that, you know, he's bigger now. Yeah, okay, go do your thing. You might pat him on the head or something. But as a teenager, when was the last time you went up to your teenager and hugged them? I mean, really hugged them. I have 19 nephews, and some of them are married, and they still line up in a line and let me love on them when I see them. It's important for children to feel humanness, right? So your daughter doesn't go out here and get her mind blown because some guy touched her and said that she was soft, right? These are the kind of things that stay-at-home moms do. Hug your children. Right. This is the kind of things that working moms do. Hug your children. Hear me, Matt Walsh. Scalpel, not a hammer.
Exactly.
Scalpel.
All right, folks. Well, that does it for us tonight. We have some super chats here, folks. Thank you all so much. Tijuana Border Jumper says, I know if Medea was around, she would not have used that kind of language. Thank you so much for $5 super chat. All right. Yes, indeed. Roberto with the $5 super chat. Off topic. Can you guys remind me what we were calling Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett the other day? There were good names. Oh my gosh.
They called her. Somebody called her, I think, Jackass Crockett or something, Jackass, something like that. It was all kinds of stuff. You got to go back and look at it.
That chat was on fire. There had to be 15 good names. There were
it was a ton. It was so many funny names. And she deserved every one of them.
Yes, she did.
Yoni with the $5 super chat says, sidebar, at Nicole, I'm still waiting on the details for the Boston Politics cruise. Also, I completely agree with your opinion on Tatum's comments.
So I'm looking at a cruise Labor Day of this year. It's going to be in the Gulf of America. It's on the Carnival celebration. Now, I know Carnival's got a bad reputation. However, it is a party ship and a good time to be had.
It is a good time.
So it's I think a 5-day 4 or 5 day, maybe a 5 or 6 day, but I have to put the details together. I have a friend that gambles like she's lost her doggone mind in the casinos on cruise ships. So I get a bunch of free cruises from my friends who gamble like degenerates. So I'll let you guys know if this date works out pretty good. It's a beautiful ship. It's a great time to be had. You will save a ton of money on a larger ship versus a smaller ship. There's lots of other food to eat, and all of the specialty restaurants let you eat their one time free during the course of your cruise. So you could technically.
I think all cruise ships are beautiful. I've never been on an unbeautiful one.
Well, that's true, but this ship is spectacular. It's one of their larger classes of ships, and there's just a lot of stuff to do. There's a ton of things to do on this ship.
All right. Tijuana Border Jumper says Nicole is so wise.
Thank you.
Yes, she is. Josh Henson with the $10 says this is the most thoughtful show. Just love you all. Thank you,
Josh.
Thank you so much, Josh. Yes, indeed. All right. I think that's everybody. Folks, we'll be back on Wednesday night. We'll be live in the studio. Back on Wednesday, live in the studio. We cannot wait to see you guys, and we'll be all together Wednesday at 8 p.m. So hit that notification bell so you know when we go live, and we will see you guys at 8 on Wednesday. Also, let me see here. I think that does it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Oh, yes, I knew what speaking from. Those are our other shows. So tomorrow at 6:30, you can catch the All American Talk Show on the All American Talk YouTube channel. That's at All American Talk. Check it out. It's conservative talk. They're informative, funny. You got to check out All American Talk Show. And then, like I said, we will be back on Wednesday in studio, popping politics at 8 p.m. All right. So that does it for us tonight, folks. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.